What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another live stream. My name's Lewis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. If it is your first time here, then welcome. Make sure you introduce yourself into the chat and say hello so you can get the nice Camera Junkie welcome. And as tradition goes here, we first always go to see exactly who is in the chat, who is the Camera Junkie crew that's hanging out with us tonight. Right off the bat, we got my favorite tech. All right, let's fix this. Not too bad today. There we go. Let's see how that looks. All right. It says, how goes it, Mr. Camera Junkie? I'm spending some time with my family, but trying to get motivated to get back to work on improving my skills. Motivation is one thing that sometimes we need, but Doc Rock was talking about it earlier today. I don't know if it was on his live stream or if it was actually within our group after that, I would say discipline is greater than motivation, because motivation is fleeting, but you rarely have the need for motivation for things that you're interested in, which is where I always come from it, right? I'm a camera junkie because I cannot particularly stick to one camera type, one camera brand, one camera anything, because if it's something new, latest and greatest, and innovating the world of capturing images, then I'm all about it, whether it's still or video. And that's why like one of the things I'm excited for is this new form of recording video that we will be introduced to with the Vision Pro, right? This 3D recording in real time, how that is gonna shape content in the future is something that really interests me, and that's why I'm a camera junkie. You name a device that has 13 cameras on it and I'm all in. But that's one of the many things here, but that we'll get into that in a little bit. But motivation is good, discipline is better. But whenever you're lacking motivation, have the discipline to go back to what interests you, right? What's easy for you. And that's why I do this live stream every week. And if you didn't know, today is actually episode 136. Yes, you heard correct. That's 136 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream. Yep, without skipping a beat. So with that being said, let's continue. We got Paul hanging in here. Paul, I know we were chatting and we were talking about that. I do have a question for you to see if maybe you could just answer it here instead of having typed it all out. There are two cables with the cam links if you're having issues with that. There's the HDMI cable from the cam link itself, and sometimes there's a small little stubby cable that connects the cam link to the computer so that the USB-A drive could fit, sometimes because the cam link is too thick. Let me know if you actually changed both of those as far as testing goes, because in my experience I had one of those cables go bad, the extensions, and that was the issues to all of my headaches at that time. I don't know if it was bad or that I just confused it for one that wasn't strong enough, but either way, the one that I was trying to use wasn't fast enough to transfer the data, so I had to change that small little stubby cable that comes with the cam link from the computer to the device itself, and that's what solved my issue. And the reason why I bring that up is, here's just a free tip for anyone. If you're ever having issues with electrical devices and how these things are connected, just know that all you really have to do is check cables first. It sounds a bit dumb, but cables do go bad. So first, or step number one, always should be check your cables. And I was speaking with Paul. He said that he changed his cable, but I'm guessing it was the HDMI to the computer or to the camera. I'm now asking to see if he changed both. Oh, my fave tech says I was promoted to analyst and now I'm learning new programs. Excuse me. to run analytics. Powered by, it says Power BI. I'm not sure. Let me highlight that real quick if I could. Can I do this? Oh, that's where I can do it. Okay. Okay, I just copied his text and I will Google that in a little bit. I like the song. All right. Randy's in the house saying hello to everyone. How are you doing? Everybody's saying hi to each other. Randy's saying hi, Paul. How was your week? A week it was. At least it was for me. We also have Sly in the house saying hi to everyone. Okay, Randy says, I'm thinking of getting rid of my R50, R7, and R6 and upgrade to the R6 M2. That sounds like a great idea. That sounds like if you have the ability and you're not using those cameras as much, you know, there's a certain limit. Like, I would love to have all the cameras in the world, but I also have a love for cameras that I also want to make sure that they're being used, right? And using them in every way possible. I know that's always going to be impossible because I can't use every camera in the world to, you know, to change that fact. But, you know, you also have to know, like, what is a bit too much or not too much. You get to a point of collecting, which is also fine. I don't know. I guess I'm going to get to a point of collecting myself, and I'm speaking completely out of my ass right now because of the simple fact that there's certain cameras that I'm going to want to preserve, right? That I'm just like, I love this camera and I'm just going to hold on to it. And I think the A6100 is going to be one of those cameras. I am looking myself into getting some upgrades. And with that being said, I know that I'm going to be putting some cameras on the market as well, just so that I don't have a bunch of good, adequate cameras that are just going to be sitting here collecting dust. But that's just me, overthinking everything as always. But we continue. All right, Jeremy's also here saying, hey, Lewis, go easy on the emotions tonight. I can't take another session like this morning. I got you, man. Doc got to us all. I had to step away from keyboard, so to speak. But then I guess I won't be talking about my week, because my week was rough. My week was rough. And just to put it in a nutshell, it was physically rough. I went through a lot of physical pain to the point where I was going to admit myself to the hospital. And that might seem like cakewalk to anyone, saying, of course, if you're in pain, go to the hospital. But for me, it's a completely different mindset when it comes to admitting myself to the hospital or something for an emergency type of situation, because Aiden is first. And my thoughts is like, if I need to be hospitalized for any period of time, Aiden needs to come with me. And how am I to adequately take care of someone when I can't take care of myself? And that's what stressed me, and that had me in a really tough spot all week. That and the fact that the pain did not allow me to rest, and I was getting on average of like 2 hours of sleep. But while I made the decision to go to the hospital, certain things changed, and the things that I was doing to treat my pain, my ailment, started taking effect, which, you know, allowed me to avoid a hospital visit that's unnecessary. So that's my week in a nutshell. and that's why I didn't get a lot of things done. I wanted to have a theme for today, but then I just said we're just gonna hang out because of the simple fact that there was a couple of things that I wanted to talk about we can get into, but if we don't, so be it. One of them being the Insta360 Go and connecting this camera as a web camera. In a nutshell, I connected the camera via wireless connection to my cell phone so that I can communicate. The phone updated the camera, but it wouldn't recognize the update, so I had to go on a computer and then download that file directly to the SD onto the camera, restart the camera, and it did the update, and that update has the webcam feature on it, and now it's working even better than I first initially started working with it last week, obviously because it had a plethora of updates that were all rolled into that one that I got. And with that, now that camera is working great. So just a little update on that. I wouldn't recommend trying to update that camera through your phone. I would highly recommend doing it through the computer and through the SD card. All right. He says, yes, now the cam link is directly to the Mac. If it's like that and you've checked everything, then yeah, let me ponder it a little bit more, Paul, and I'll let you know what I think, because I would, first thing that comes to mind is like, okay, it could have gone bad, but you have two cam links and you've checked both of them out and they're both giving you the same issue. So definitely there's something there. I'm going to ponder on it. Just let me sleep on it. I might send you a message tomorrow. And yes, it has been a busy week. It's been funny because I was thinking like, oh, July, with a little holiday, you're going to take a bit of a break because of how busy the end of June was. Like, not even, not even. Says, I'm keeping the R10 and loving the A7C and the ZV-1 Mark II. That's cool. That's good to know. The A7C might be having a successor, because you see, that was something else that I was pondering on talking about tonight, which is the latest rumors. Now, rumors that were of what this new camera from Sony is going to be called. Well, pretty soon there's going to be an announcement for the Sony A6700. Now, I've already seen some images of the camera, and it looks like it is a APS-C A7C. So let me repeat that. An APS-C A7C. So the A7C from Sony is their compact, rangefinder body style type with a flip out LCD, fully articulating, full frame, and that camera's been around for a while. That camera should be having a successor to it, but now I'm really scratching my head because we're still waiting on some releases from Sony for the remainder of this year, and the A7C could get a successor, but we are, I know for a fact, getting the A6700. Now the A6700 is supposedly the new flagship, right? The highest numbered APS-C camera. Is going to have the new 26 megapixel sensor that you can find on the FX30. It's going to have 5-axis image stabilization. It's going to shoot 4K 120, I believe. So it's going to have all the bells and whistles, including obviously the latest iteration of Sony's autofocus with the AI tracking, so it will keep you in focus whether you're looking at the camera or not. All the features, and this camera is coming out very, very soon, and that's why it leaves me scratching my head a bit, because if it has the same body style as the A7C, then it is like a baby A7C. Now, would you still come out with a successor to the A7C itself, full frame, I I would have, and this is why I have me scratching my head. I would have to believe that the Sony ZV-E1 is that camera in a nutshell. The Sony ZV-E1 is a full framed 7C body style, but the one difference would be the viewfinder that the ZV line of cameras do not carry. So will a viewfinder and the price tag associated to that be the only difference? It's going to be very interesting because the Sony A7C, to my recollection, came out at $1,800, maybe $2,000, right? And if you're going to have a successor to that, then you're going to have it fall into that same type of price range. But if so, how are you going to provide a full framed A7C style rangefinder body camera with a viewfinder added into it, full frame, to exceed or, and if you're staying in the A7, in the A7 line, then you're not going to go into the FX. So I would say the difference there would be the sensor, that the FX series carries that 12 megapixel sensor in the full frame. But the ZV-E1 also has, I believe, that sensor. You know what? I might be speaking ahead of myself, but that's why we have the Google machine here. And I'm going to check real quick because I cannot remember so many cameras. But that's why I said it literally leaves me scratching my head. ZV-E1. Okay, so right now I'm just looking up the Sony ZV-E1's, yeah, I was right. It has the same 12 megapixel full frame sensor. So the ZV-E1 kind of falls into this weird, not FX category for the full frame sensor. But I digress. Let's go back to what I was saying. It having that sensor, the A7C Mark II would probably have to have that new 33 point something megapixel that you find on the A7 IV, right? It would have to carry that new line because I doubt that it's going to carry the same 24.2 megapixel sensor that it has in the original A7C and just carry along all of the software. But then if they do that, right, if they upgrade the sensor, they have a viewfinder, flip out LCD with all of the new bells and whistles that you can find on the Sony ZV-E1, and the Sony ZV-E1 full frame in the same body style without the viewfinder is at $2,200. Then how are they going to sell a $2,000 or sub $2,000 A7C camera with a viewfinder, with all these specs and features, with a higher megapixel count for less money? That's why I'm really scratching my head about saying I don't know if the Sony ZV-E1 has killed off the successor to the A7C, but we will see. I'm really intrigued to see what Sony could be coming out and what they can be thinking of. Hey, Cruz, says Scott. How are you doing, sir? Randy also says, my coworker was moving and tried to move a queen-size bed by himself, and that was a bad move. He was out of work for a while. Yeah, I could imagine. He also says, I am liking the Streamer X very much. Oh, I didn't know you had got one. Okay, but that's cool to hear your perspective on it. The only problem is I have to plug in the device after the Mac boots up and after I log in. Well, that's funny because that's something that I guess is an issue with some of Rode's products. So, for example, it's compatibility with some and not others. So, I have the Rodecaster Pro 2 here, right? And whenever I shut down my Mac Studio and I reboot it, I have to disconnect, like the connection from the USB and just replug it in, like if it was being connected for the first time. It won't recognize it before that, after every shutdown. Now, if I leave this stuff on, right? Or better said, if I leave my computer on and then I shut down the Rodecaster Pro, then when I turn on the Rodecaster Pro again, it will automatically connect to the Mac Studio. But if I shut down the Mac Studio and restart it and the Rodecaster Pro is already on, it will not recognize it. And the reason why I bring this up is that it doesn't matter how many times I restart my Mac Mini that's sitting here to the side and connected to the secondary port, and no matter how many times I restart the Rodecaster Pro, whenever they're both on, they have no problems communicating. So it could just be something within Rode's, programming code, that on certain devices for certain things it has a little bit of that issue. But I've noticed that, and I only have that on my Mac Studio. So you might want to check it out on your Mac Mini, because I know you got one, and see if that makes any difference with the Streamer X. All right, so Jeremy says, here's a positive win for the week. Managed to get 3 Insta360 links running alongside my FX30 and Ecamm. Still going strong after 48 hours. That is dope. All in 4K, Insta via CalDigit Element Hub, and the FX30 using a cam link. That's dope, man. That sounds great. And you answered one of my questions, because you have the Insta360 links. Yes, so the links is the one that follows you and has the little gyroscope type webcam. Correct me if I'm wrong. And if that's correct, that was a question that I had, as if if you would have a problem with Ecamm connecting them strictly through, the USB-C. Sammy is in the house. How you doing, Sammy? John is also here saying hello to the crew. Paul says, strange, he doesn't have that problem with his RCP in the studio. I thought it was just, but you also have the new studio. So let's also, because that could just be that, right? It could literally be the first generation Mac Studios that are having the issues with it, because I think Randy also has the first generation. So I don't think he has the M2. Could just be that, right? And that's why I said he'll probably let us know next week if he had a difference between that and the Mac Mini. But I said it's weird, and I was always just like, I feel like I'm gonna wear out my USB-C port on the Rodecaster Pro 2, and I actually thought that it could have been something from Rode. But now that we're talking about it and speaking it aloud, this is already my second version of the Rodecaster Pro 2, right? For those of you who remember, the first one had the problems with the touchpad, so that whenever I would do something like this, it would go, crazy, or that my voice changed, right?
When that happened, right?
I'm not even gonna mess with it, but I thought I was supposed to hear the voice effect. Let me know if you guys heard the high-pitched voice or not. But regardless, when the first one started going crazy and I shipped it out, this one that was sent back on the paper that came with it literally said that this is like version 2. This is the second model of the Rodecaster Pro 2, probably because of those same like touchpads and the issues that they probably were having with the first set being maybe oversensitive. But thanks for letting me know, Paul. So I guess, like I said, maybe it's something with the studio and not so much the Rode product, because this is the second one. And if they were having an issue like that, I think they would have addressed it. But then maybe Randy could let us know if what Mac Studio he's using. James is in the house saying, "Hey y'all, crazy cousin Lewis." How you doing, James? Says I have the link as an overhead cam and it works great. You know, actually, I was messing with this one as a webcam, the X3, and that thing is extremely wide. Like, of course, it's a 360 camera, is getting everything, but even using it as a single camera for webcam, it is like it gets everything. It's crazy wide, but uh, I wanted to have done some more with it this week, but like I said, I was down. I was out for the count this week. All right, everybody's saying hi to each other. All right. Paul's letting me know that we heard it. So is Sly saying, yeah, we heard it. How you doing, Gretchen? She's saying hi, MCJ and the Saturday Night Crew. We're just talking shop over here, talking about cameras and potential things. Another thing that's coming up, I think the 9th, 10th, and 11th, or maybe just the 10th and 11th, is the Prime Deal Days. So summer sale, basically, right? Last week I told you that Ecamm is having the summer sale, and if if you're not an Ecamm user and you're looking to get it done, now is the time to take advantage with 30% off. Links in the description. With that being said, oh yeah, use the code 23 July 30 at checkout to get your 30% discount after you use the link. So that was last week. This week we got a bunch of things that are great prices on Amazon, like one of them being external hard drives. Now, speaking to Gretchen, one of my next investments has to be a NAS, right? Yeah, like something like that. Like a local area storage or network attached storage, something with high capacities, because I've definitely reached my own personal saturation point. Like to come over here and just bring up a couple of these things. This is a LaCie hard drive. I think it's 2 terabytes. This is an old 1 terabyte Seagate. Oh no, this one's a Toshiba. I have drives upon drives, SD cards upon SD cards, and data all over the place. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the biggest thing, and I think the biggest thing was me transitioning from Windows to Mac and bringing my Lightroom and all the photos and things like that while I was still taking more photos and then throwing them. And it's like it's gotten to the point where all my files, it feels like it's one gigantic overfilled closet that I've just like closed the door behind me, and it's just like and lock and be like, I'll deal with that later. Now before I could even organize it, I need to consolidate all of it. And that's where I feel like I need the NAS, where I just need to get a big honkin' server style just drive and take every single one of my hard drives, connect it, dump all the information onto it, and as soon as I dump that information and it's on that NAS, clear it, empty it out, put it over here so that I don't ever have to think about that again, and do that to everything so that I can get rid of all this extra bulk. And once all the data from all the drives and all the SDs are on this system, then I can go and literally start organizing them and go this over here, and maybe even run some programs to like eliminate duplicates so that I can save a bunch of time. That's my plan to get things in focus, because I could tell you, man, I've it's a hot mess over here when it comes to data, right? If it's not something that I'm actively working on, oh man, I could tell you, like, let me give you a good example on how my system is working right now, and this is how bad it is, right? If I'm thinking about a file, right? If I'm thinking about a file, I'm like, where is this file? I want to reuse it, but uh I don't even remember when I recorded the footage. I don't even remember like when I took those photos. I don't even remember like when I get to that point, right? I end up going to like my own applications, and this is sad. I'm sharing it with you, but I tend to go to like Instagram and then go look at my timeline, and then I go, oh, that's the photo that I'm talking about. It was on this photo shoot or something that sparks it. Then I look at the date, and then through the date that's on Instagram, I can then go back to my archives and at least find the folders that are within those time parameters, and that will give me a smaller pile of files to look through to find the one that I'm looking for. But that's how bad it is for me. In all sincerity, like that's where I'm at when it comes to when it comes to my file management system right now, because they are all set in by like date and time, but I just have no other way of organizing. So I definitely need to get on that. So you know what? Bringing that into the conversation, maybe I'll look for something in the next couple of days, and I will let you know if I pull the trigger on anything that was too good to pass up for this Prime Days for Amazon. Yeah, Amazon Prime Days. So that could be a good thing for me. He says 107 degrees wide. That's wide for webcam. Yeah, man, because that's the whole thing. And you know that the webcam or ultra wide lenses are not the most pleasing. So even if I use the camera as a single camera mode, right, and I like zoom into it, I then have to use Ecamm to zoom into it more. And by the time you get to the like framing that you want, you've lost a lot of the resolution that you get from this small little camera. So it's a great camera, a lot of fun, and I know that there's so many use cases that I'm already going to implement using the X3. For those of you who might just be coming in right now, for the X3, but it's definitely not something that you're going to be using all the time. It's not something that you can use as a standalone and your only camera. Now, I did want to test it as a interview type camera and also a bit of vlogging, because I think they might be exceptionally well in both of those scenarios. Now, interview mode, I think this is ideal because this is kind of like putting a microphone between you and the participant of the conversation or the interview. So being able to put a lens on each side and sit it off to the side in a variety of different locations and scenarios, I think this is ideal. And if you can get a good microphone setup, then you can do podcast interviews where you could reframe, do them for both horizontal or vertical, a variety of different options that you can have by utilizing this type of camera. But we'll continue. Does it work? Just got mine as a 360 view. No, it does. When it does 360 view, if you were to connect it as a webcam directly, it's gonna actually give you two images cut like extremely widescreen. So the wide image that you would get out of a 9:16 format, it's gonna cut that at the halfway point, and then you'll get the front and the back kind of like strips. But you were to press the button, just this one right here. Oh, yeah, that one right there. If we can get it right, that one kind of starts recording the circle. This one with the two boxes, you press that while it's in webcam mode, and it switches the camera feeds and it goes to single camera, either front or back, and that gives you more control and a better view for using it as a webcam. Do I have my eye on a particular item? I really don't. And you know why? Because I'm kind of bad for waiting for deals. And I pulled the trigger on a lot of things before I even thought of Prime Day. You know, I'm just, I'm saving up to get certain things. And then when I have them, I want to protect them. So last week I mentioned that I got the new Rode Wireless Go microphones. So scrolling on Amazon, I got this guy right here. So this is the newer little box. It houses my microphones. See if we can get a good shot of that there. Right. And it charges them. So if I were to just press that button, it starts charging the microphones and transmitters. But this is also a wireless battery bank. So I can connect my phone, I could connect like my laptop, and it's gonna transfer power to or get power from depending on the source. So if it recognizes a charger, it will receive all the charge. If I connect my phone or my laptop, it will then start charging that. It automatically charges my microphone and transmitter, and it's got a cool little case for it, which this is the small little bag that comes with the Rode, right? Rode branded, boom, as you can see. And this is where they wanted you to keep like the microphones and the cables and everything. I just got it for the cables. But I put all the cables, so all my Rode cables, and also including like this little guy right here, or to go there, the Rode AI Micro, bam. So backup device for, you know, interviews. And if you guys haven't checked this device out, man, this is something that I think gets overlooked more than anything. And if you haven't heard about it, let me enlighten you. The Rode AI Micro, it is Rode's smallest interface. And yes, you heard correct, interface. Now this interface allows you to use it on pretty much any device, and that's what Rode's been really doing well with. So you can connect it, and this is a USB-C connection, but it does come with its cables that I have in this small pouch. So it has a USB-C to Lightning for your iPad or for your iPhone, allowing you to connect this interface to your phone, giving you the best quality microphones to be able to record. And that gives you not one, but two microphone input jacks. So that means you can have channel 1 and channel 2 and have two separate feeds into your iPhone, iPad, or if you connect this directly to your computer will recognize this just the same way as the interface, allowing you to synchronize it, using it with Ecamm, using it with whichever program that you want. So instead of carrying around a huge, massive podcast interview setup, you can literally carry around something as simple as a Rode AI Micro and a 360 camera. This will give you the shots of you and your guest from across from each other while you're sitting down having a coffee at a, you know, Starbucks. And this will give you the ability to record yourself and your guest separate through separate channels so that you don't cross the audio and you can get the best audio possible. And you've heard me here say it before, bad audio is unwatchable. So if you can get good audio and good video, then you're all in the clear. So this is probably like the most minimalistic podcast or interview recording setup that you can find. Another connection that it has at the bottom is actually the headphone jack as well, part of the AI Micro. So if you wanted to actively listen to what you were recording or answer phone calls, connect this to a variety of different devices, all can be done through this small small, and I mean super small, super thin, extremely lightweight device. And it's a little bit analog, so it carries no batteries. It powers everything through the USB-C. And the fact that you can connect it to anything and get great audio is amazing, especially for such a small device. So this is the backup to the backup. So in case something like this doesn't work, then you can still find, you can still use something like that. Yeah. Another thing I got was this huge 100-watt. Now that's just a sticker because I got the Insta360, but 100-watt battery bank. It is how many milliamps? 26,800 milliamp hours, which, if I'm correct, is the most that you can carry on a plane as a single battery. So this is the max that you can get for any single type battery and still be able to have it in your carry-on as, as a extra battery. This, with the Insta360 plugged in and put it to record, man, just unlimited power. But that also has to do with the Insta360. If you're plugging this in and you're recording while it's being trickle charged, unlimited power. But like, if you're telling me like what particular items that I had my eye on, I've slowly been just putting them in the cart, and I pull the trigger when I need them. Another one that I got are these. These are pretty cool. If you can see what's going on, it's basically like a little wrap. Let me go to my overhead cam. Can we see here? That's a bit dark. Let's fix the exposure here. It's gotten darker. Oh, because I went the wrong way. There we go. Okay, one stop exposure. That looks much better. Okay, so this, as you can see, is like a little neoprene wrap. It's got Velcro. And what it does is it allows you to wrap pretty much anything to make sure that it's protected. So this is my A6100 in the cage that I'm going to sell. So after I took some pictures of it to get it online, I am then able to just place it within this little like wrap. Like I said, it's almost like the same material that you'd find as a mouse pad. So if you're using it for travel, it can double as a mouse pad very easily because it is that same like neoprene material. But it gives a little bounce back, so allows you to just give it a little tug and then wrap it up. And this is great for traveling as well. And now you have, this is a lot easier to throw in your bag and feel that, hey, it's going to be super protected. And like I said, if you're doing some traveling, these are ideal. So they're different sizes. And I found the 4-pack for like $24. But they came 4 different sizes. And wow, some of them were like extremely big. So you can see that. It's black, so it's kind of hard, but like, I don't even know what I'm gonna wrap in that. But the price was like a no-brainer because I think one of those cost like $14. So to get 4 for like $24, I was like, time to buy. But that's me, man. I barely have things in mind that I don't plan for. So whenever I have my eye on something, I've usually already got it. And I could honestly tell you, I'm probably like the worst person to try to buy something for like a birthday or something, because when people say like, what do you want? Like, I'm like, the stuff that I want, I would never ask anybody to buy for me, because they're usually just out of the price range, you know. And you're talking about like, oh, I would love to have a $6,000 Sony A1 camera with a G Master lens. That sounds ideal. I would love it, right? But I know that an $8,000 price tag on something is something that I would never put onto anyone as a gift. So that's why I said, like, usually when it comes to things like that and things that I have my eye on, I pull the trigger. Sammy's saying I have many drives. Yes. Paul says he loves his Synology. Synology is a brand of local area network or network attached storage, a NAS. And he says he loves his, which I could imagine. If you have a small box that you can place somewhere that you don't even have to see and have everything dumped over there. Oh, let me, because even, I'll tell you the truth, like even the SanDisks, those, you know, the small little fast SSDs, I got two of them hanging right there. I have my other, you know, M.2 SSD that I connect here and stuff like that. Those are what I use mostly for my active projects. But then for my long-term storage, that's spread out everywhere, including like old disk drives over there that are not being backed up. So we said we were going to stay positive, so let's stay on the positive side. John also says, I bought a 4-base Synology, definitely worth upgrading in storage. I could imagine. And that's what I'm thinking about doing. If anything, I might just buy the enclosure, which is a lot less expensive, and then see how I manage on getting the drives and the capacities that I need. Semi says, the thing is that all of the things that are on the cloud, so that I don't have an issue right now. But in a couple years ago, I used Apple time capsules. Oh yeah, the time machine. That's what I do for kind of like transferring the computers. So let's say, oh, well, a perfect example, when I went to set up my Mac Studio, instead of setting everything back up, right, with all of my usernames, passwords, and everything like that, I didn't do that. I made a time machine backup on my Mac Mini. When I turned on my Mac Studio, it says, do you have a time machine thing? I said, absolutely. Click it. And I transferred everything over, just kept on going. And it was just a breeze. Ideal to start working on the studio. Gretchen says to Randy, I got the R6 Mark II for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Bonus, it has the same battery as the R5 and we share lenses. Randy says he's also thinking of the R5 Mark II. So many options, right? Oh, let's not, I just started reading it, but let's see what he says. Says the overheating on 3 that I have is making my workflow impossible. I have the Z7 II, which has a 45 megapixel sensor, and I do not need the Z8 or the Z9. I've heard like not so many good things about the Z8 and about recalls, but I have not been able to keep up like I used to, or that I wanted to, especially on Nikon. My fave text says nice. I lost track what that could have been about. James says the case is bad, eh? I hate charging those on the go. Oh, bad, eh? When I read that, I was like, the case is bad, eh? I said that, as you can tell, like a Canadian, right? Like Canadian. I was gonna say, is James Canadian? Not that, but all of that ran through my head. I hate charging those on the go. Yes, but yeah, charging the microphones in the case is what made me pull the trigger. And I think this case was only like $32 from Newer. I was like, that's a no brainer, because what I first started looking for was a USB cable that had 3 connections to USB-C, so that I can just like use one plug, but then be able to charge all 3 of those units at the same time. And while I was looking for that, right, like a 3-prong USB-C charger cable for, the Rode Wireless Goes, that little thing popped up, and it wasn't like $60 like the other ones were. Because that's the funny thing. Like, I think there was another model from a different brand that came out before this that was like $60, and now Newer has this one for 30, and I was like, $30. I had to just pull the trigger, and it's been awesome. Like I said, just it's been super cool, and I'm really getting my things ready for Ecamm's Creator Camp that will be happening later on in October. So I'm getting excited and I'm getting my things ready for that. That being it, and the 360 camera as well, like I mentioned it. So all of these things is just to better record the experience. I can't wait to interview people using these microphones and that camera, and also just recording a lot of the environment and the ambiance while we just hang out. I can't wait. Sammy says, very cool. What is the wrap called again? I'm going to have to open it up. I'm going to have to go to the Googles. All right, here we are. Let's go to the Amazonia, to the jungle website. I can't even. It's a lens camera protective wraps kit. But here do you one better. I'm gonna get the link, copy, and I'm just gonna drop that in here. And that should work. That's the link to the wraps. The 4-pack, and it's $26.99. Put it in your cart and see if it goes on sale, for the Prime Days that's coming up in a couple of days. So that will be cool. But here, let's check out some other things because of my most recent purchases. For those of you who don't know, I order my stuff on Amazon. It saves me so much time and fuel while I'm taking care of Aiden to just hang out here and do that while, the mundane tasks are being handled for me. Oh, well, that's funny. Like, I've been ordering some car things as well. So one thing that I recently bought, which is it's called Glass Stripper, and I'm excited to use this. So Glass Stripper, it's gonna take like the film and old effects of like when you're in rain, or maybe like some humidity on your windshield, and as you wipe that off, right, that you get left this trail of like what looks like hard water stains. And I've tried to use products like CLR, right, calcium lime and rust remover, and it doesn't remove it from the glass the same way. It just doesn't. It's almost like it's etched into the glass, and every time that the wiper strike, it kind of leaves this fog until that just like kind of becomes more transparent. And this new thing, this Glass Stripper, supposedly is going to help with that and make it like new. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to using. And then yeah, the other one is to get like the best out of my windshield. But that's just me ordering random stuff. The other thing is this was how much? The battery bank, 100-watt power supply, 26,800 milliamp hours. Oh, okay, this is a great price. So check this out, guys. This is $79, $80, but it has a coupon for 40% off right now. So if you were to go and you were to buy that now with the coupon, you'd be paying $51.31. So if you guys were interested in a battery bank, I'm going to drop that off as well too. But let's go back to the comments. Is wrap my 200 millimeter? Yeah, I have a couple of them like that. I have this it's like a vintage lens, and I've talked about it before, but I have a 135 to 400 millimeter APO like lens from Canon that I adapt to my Sony. Absolutely love it. But that thing is not only about the wrap. Like, I know I'm not going to be carrying that thing around unless it's a studio shoot, because it is a bazooka. It is so huge, so much weight, and I'm trying to conserve on weight. That's the whole thing. I'm trying to be as minimalistic as possible so that I can produce as much as possible without carrying everything. I talked about it last week. Like last year when I was doing the thing, I carried too much stuff. I carried extra stuff just in case, and that's not what I'm going to be doing for the creator camp this week. Gretchen says, after a bit of struggle with setup, my LaCie 28 terabyte 2BD is working very smoothly. I can't believe. I'm glad that that's working for you. I don't know if I'm gonna go with a single hard drive setup, because it's so much data that I do want the redundancy, which is what's starting to freak me out. So, but actually, I think you said that was a 2-drive setup, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. Gretchen, let us know here if this is a 2 hard drive setup and that there is redundancy, so that like if one drive were to fail, you have the ability to replace it and back it up. Let us know. So will you have the link in the description? Oh, that's the other one that I could drop in there for you. You know what? My fave tech is over here saying for the Rode charging case. I'm just gonna drop the links in the chat, and then I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best to put that in the description if it's not there already. All right. So let's see where we are here. Okay, so James is asking, are there any spots left for Creator Camp? There's a waiting list, basically, James. So you might want to check that out, because even though I believe everything's booked up, not everyone has paid for it. So if they decide to back out, there will be availability, and the people who are on the waiting list will be the first ones to be informed about it. And then there's also going to be some cancellations, like the first time that I went to People of Video, well, the first People of Video, I got to go because some of our creator friends here bought tickets that were non-refundable, but they didn't have the ability to go to the event because circumstances changed, and it was, you know, good for them, to their benefit, right? It was a good change of plans for the people who then offered their tickets to me. And that's why I was like, yo, if I got tickets, I'm gonna go make my way up to Albany, New York. And you know, one thing led to another, and I had the ability to make it up there, hang out with Doc Rock, meet Katie, and see a lot of people for the first time. And that solidified so many things. That is what's being flourished, and we're seeing, you know, give fruit today. So super cool. It says $26, not a bad price. Yeah, and it was not a bad price because those the wraps, they're thick. You can put some if you had the perspective, and I already had the idea to get these. So when I went to shop for them, they were like at $14 a piece, and then four for $26. I'm like, that's easy math to know. Like, yeah, if I could pay less money for four than I would for two, kind of a no-brainer, right? Like buy two get two free. And those two extra large ones, man, those things are huge. You won't be disappointed. You saw the size. Like, I think I might make one of those a what's it called? I was trying to make a joke, but I lost the word. A sleeping bag. They're so big, I'm gonna make one a sleeping bag for Aiden. Randy says, would glass stripper work on headlights for fogging and relative using the ZDT from off to unfog the glass? Okay, well, the ZDT from off, that's like the bug spray. Actually, I think that works really, really well to get that first initial haze off of it. The only thing is that when it comes to the fogging of the headlights, it's the fact that you're no longer going to have protection to UV rays or ultraviolet rays. So you can use that and continue to get it off, but it's going to be a continuous process until or if you replace the headlamps. Now, a way to do it is to use the ZDT from off, right? And clear out the lenses. Once you have that done, you will then wipe them down and clear them out. Clean them out using like alcohol to have like no other chemicals on top of it. And you might want to try a UV protectant spray paint, right? Crystal clear coat, right, that you can find with UV protection, so that will do the filling in. And what I would do is just lightly paint the headlamps. If you have the ability, remove them from the car before you do any painting, right? If you don't have the ability, you have there's ways of masking off the rest of your vehicle with some like plastics and stuff like that so that you don't ruin it. But at the end of the day, you're also only going to be spraying clear coat, so it's not like it's going to change the color of your car per se, but you would see the difference from some areas being shinier than others. So if you have the ability, remove the headlamps, clean them out, so that, you know, alcohol, and then shoot UV protective clear coat onto them, and that should prevent you from having to do that work again. But you know what? The question was, does it work on headlamps? I will let you know when I use it on the glass. I will put some on my headlamps that are pretty bad as well, but that's completely different. Like, I'm going to be looking for replacement headlamps completely, because I just want the look to be, you know, new. And the ones that I have on my car, not only are they foggy and yellow, but they're also cracked, like cracked to hell. They're all these little micro fractures. So even if I were to try to restore them, those cracks are just going to still be there and they're going to persist. So need new ones. Okay, so Gretchen did clarify that for us. She says it has two 14 terabyte drives. I set them up as a RAID 1, so they mirror instant backup. So you have a 14 terabyte backup, 28 total terabytes, but you're seeing as one 14 terabyte drive. Okay, that's cool. And that's honestly plenty, because I have a 4 terabyte drive that I was trying to do everything, but it's a single drive, and unfortunately still not enough. Okay, Paul confirmed that. It says, yeah, you put yourself on the wait list. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that link as well. Thank you. And Randy says, thanks, Lewis. But yes, guys, we've just passed the hour. We've been hanging out. I appreciate you guys taking the time and hanging out here with me to make this the most enjoyable part of my every week. You guys make this hangout the place to be, and I thank you all the time for making this community exactly what it is. It would be nothing without you, and I thank you. Guys, we've did it. Another episode in the books, episode 136. So next week we're going to be doing it all over again for episode 132nd of the Camera Junkie live stream. If you guys have any questions whatsoever or are interested in seeing something that you want to ask me in particular, make sure that you leave them a comment down below, and I might just dedicate an entire live stream to fixing that on the fly to show you how I would do it, to see if it maybe gives you a little bit of help or inspiration on anything that could be, causing you a bit of delay or headache. I'm always happy to help, and a lot of times I don't come across these issues, so I don't know them unless they're told to me. So now I'm actively asking you to let me know what issues might you be having, whether it could be a camera setup, camera settings, live stream setup, something that you're struggling with but that you just want to get that much better. I'm always happy to help, so make sure that you leave me a question or a comment down below. It's highly appreciated. And everyone, take care of yourselves and each other. We did it. Like I said, another successful Camera Junkie live stream. Episode 136 is in the books. And if you didn't know, that's 136 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream. And we will be doing it all over again next week without skipping a beat, right here on the Camera Junkie YouTube channel. All right, if you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit the like button. It goes a long way and it's absolutely free. And I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah. All the checklists. I don't have a cities golf for you guys. Like I said, I had a rough week and still getting through it. But I appreciate you all, as always, for taking the time. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Talk to you.